Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. It's nice to see such a great crowd. My name's Lucy Handley. I do adult programs at the Ridgefield Library, and tonight I'm delighted to introduce my friend and inspiration, Barb Chennis, who is our Ridgefield's Poet Laureate Emerita, who came up with the idea for this series and curates it and is wonderful.
Oh,
Thank you, Barb, and welcome.
well, thank you, Lucy, and thank you, Ridgefield Library, as always, for hosting us and making us feel at home. And for poets, that's an important way to feel. Say, tonight is our third anniversary. We did our first
Woo!
episode, yep, woohoo, in January of 2023 when we hosted, who did we have? Let's see, we had Ginny Lowe Connors, Benjamin Grossberg, and Christine Beck. We only had three poets for our initial episode. But since then, we have, including tonight's poets, we've hosted 100, and I counted them before we started, 148 Connecticut poets. So, and we still have many, many more to welcome to the screen. If, however, you have not been featured and would like to become a Poems from Connecticut's Four Corners reader, we'd love to have you. We invite you to send us. All you really have to do is send us the town you're from and that you're interested in joining. And it's just to barbjennis@gmail.com. And I'll get you on our roster so we can host you in the future. In that span of time, and with those 148 poets, we've had everything from a National Book Award finalist. That was, of course, Margaret Gibson, former State Poet Laureate Margaret Gibson. We've had recent MFA graduates. We've had lots of university professors and lots of those who discovered poetry, in retirement, discovered or rediscovered their passion for it in retirement, much as I did. I was into it gung-ho in college, and then kind of life got away with me. So, and we've loved every program because we always feature a diversity of genders and styles and career path, position on the career path. So, and you'll see that at play again this evening. We have a wonderful diversity of poets. So thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Ridgefield Library. Thank you, poets and Connecticut, for being so rich in poets. So, and welcome. All right. It's such a great feeling to start our third year. Okay, to get us going tonight. Oh, first, let me just give you a little promo for the February 4th episode when we'll be featuring Padmaja Bhatani, Eric Hoffman, William Moorhead, Mick Powell, and David Thacker. So I'll say these names again at the end of the program. But please look for the registration site on the Ridgefield Library website. I'm sure you'll be getting information about it through either Jim Finnegan's wonderful Substack or one of the Facebook pages. And make sure to join us. All right, now we'll get started officially. We're starting this evening with Sarah Blanchard. Sarah published her first poetry chapbook in 2024. Her work has appeared in many publications and also in public poetry projects, including North Carolina's Poetry in Plain Sight program and the Blackstone Story Walk. So welcome, Sarah. And by the way, I'm going to put Sarah's full biography in the chat so you'll see more information about her. But I'll stop talking now and let Sarah take over.
Thank you, Barb. I appreciate it. I'm really happy to be here and absolutely delighted with the strength and participation of the Connecticut Poetry Society. So thanks to everyone who's worked so hard to bring this about. It's wonderful. I'm going to read a number of poems tonight from a chapbook that I published a little while ago, but I have some new ones as well. And we're going to start with a couple of chicken poems. I'm a longtime chicken raiser owner and farmer also, horses, cows, goats, you name it. We've had it, although not too much at the moment, just one horse. So this first one is titled Dinner Time. Now, some of my poems do go a bit dark, but we'll let you consider them as I read them. Dinner time. Summer solstice evening, the coyote waits, edging the forest with dusky sleeves of sinew and sharp bone. A white hen nurtured on grass and green grasshoppers ruffles her feathers and mutters as she turns her nested eggs. If we turn aside one moment, if we look away, yawning, blinking, slipping from the vigil, the hen may tend instead to the coyote's pups, feeding them on blood and tenders. We know the hen's likely doom in a world that exhales cruelty, beauty, sustenance, death, all in the same breath. Still, we named her Evangeline. And a second one is Among the Flock. Among the flock. Uninvited, a neatly dressed young man smiles over my porch railing and tells me he too used to raise chickens. His conversational gambit is a cold open, a feeble hook, line, sinker, meant to cast a long and loosely strung filament having nothing to do with poetry or poultry. I consider the convolutions of his inspirational ramblings while keeping a watchful eye on my frenzied hens digging for worms in the manure heap. Idly, I ask if his goodwill protect this flock from the bobcat, if his God will protect them from the coyote I saw last evening by the river. He says, just shoot the bobcat, and in Christ, all things are possible. So I know he's not listening. I offer him my shotgun, but he's already turned away, disappointed by a heathen who has no time for false raptures and last year's apocalypse. On the theme of the apocalypse, this one's called cowrie shells, and it refers to the cowrie shells that have been used as currency in many countries over time, over the centuries. Cowrie shells are also seen as a way of telling prophecies and omens. Cowrie shells. This morning I walked the old market, seeking the blind graybeard who tells fortunes for a cabbage or a basket of onions. They say he cuts bread for his supper with a tarnished sword left over from the old war, the war we thought we'd won. Tossing a cup of sleek, cream-white shells onto a shingle of satinwood, he says, ask the ancestors. In this new order, anything can be true. The king offers his ring to kiss and says, you may prosper, even as floods and fires reduce our towns to sodden ash, even as an unnamed plague steals our children in the dark. There will be no remedy when every penny's gone for sour milk and rotted eggs. Ask the ancestors. I conjure a grandmother, a force rich with power, paying no mind to fools fueled by greed. The oracle's smooth white shells spin and settle. Some land with their mouths open to a magnificent sky. Others settle portal down, sealing in the darkness. How many face up, he asks. How many down? Needing a new currency of courage, I weave 16 cowries onto silk thread like plated steel and trade a loaf of bread for the old man's sword. In the same vein, not going political, but sort of, kind of, these are the times we're living in. This one's called Squirrel Spotting. This was published in the New Verse News a little while ago. Squirrel spotting. A sincere apology for nothing, for doing nothing, for becoming the nothing we have become. A heartfelt apology in advance for whatever comes next. Squirrel. Warnings? Of course we had those. We had our cameras out, recording everything, grievances, outrages, lies, and the infinite variations of a canary's death in the coal mine. We added our comments to all the shrill, unpleasant alarms. Squirrel. Raised by popular prophets, nodding somberly at those shrill cries of doom. but too many alarms were smothered beneath clever ridicule, squirrel, about painted clowns and Bitcoin plunges. Yes, we raised shields, but only a few, too late and too slowly, and only after reading the manual twice, always mistaking those shields for weapons. Squirrel. We searched instead for the familiar smiling faces of traitors who counseled easy appeasements, comfortable conciliations. Squirrel. While murderers performed overtime, we were warned about the sky falling, but we're good now. We've got our cameras ready. Okay. You're doing on time. Okay. Got a couple more. And I'll end with a love poem too, so it'll go a little lighter. Sketching the refugee. Artfully arranged on a scrap of towel, a cold floor smeared with charcoal, she places one forearm on one knee, stares through black windows, sitting for new artists, seeking to create in singular strokes the elusive perfect curves they need her to be. All easy lines. The model is collarbone, shoulder, breast, arch of ribs, hips, thighs.
Hello?
Captured by plane and volume, held by cold pricked skin, and yes, that hint of sex, they miss what's below. Thin flesh stretched over too much bone. A hard drum of blood, tendons gone harder to hold the pose. Sitting closer, they might smell in her scarred skin the stink and stain of ash, or see in her eyes the ghosted shadows of slain children. Drawing negative space is hard. They pay her well, so she always presents her best side. Yet most evenings they frown, put their pencils down early, rip their papers into scraps, wanting only to light a blaze in the fireplace to warm their cramped fingers. Do I have time for one more? One more. Okay. This one's called Reconsidering Thelma and Louise. This is my love poem. We're going to end on a, I think it's a brighter note. Okay. This is called Reconsidering Thelma and Louise, and hoping that people do remember the movie Thelma and Louise. He taps my parchment hand with his, says, we should take the T-Bird for one last spin. We've never owned a T-Bird. But of course, I know the code. It's an offhand vow from eons past when we pledged with grave certainty or whimsy, I forget which, the desire for a fiery finish, preferring that grand spectacle over a slow, sedate slide or the grayed out grace of false dignity. Believing then, of course, that one of us would still always clearly recognize the approach of final twilight. He says it again, adding his best small joke. The T-Bird? I'll put the top up if you're worried about your hair. And there it is again, that catch in my throat, the stone of a hard truth swallowed too quickly. And oh, darling, when did I ever care about my hair? In all our years of leaping headfirst into joy, bathed in the spray of Waianue's waterfalls, scoured by Kilauea's cinder grit and sulfur fumes, climbing the old lava fields to the rim of Waipio Valley, in all those nights of tangled sheets, blown aside by the warm Kona winds, tumbled down the slopes of Hualalai, the Milky Way stretched horizon to horizon above Mauna Kea, dropping the glitter of ancient stars on our sweat-slicked skin. When have I ever cared about my hair? Not yet, I tell him. The T-Bird's not ready. It needs an oil change, or new tires, or a particle accelerator, or a flux capacitor, a higher cliff, a deeper canyon, an endless plummet from the rim of the earth, but not yet. Not tonight. Thank you.
Wonderful. You know, Sarah, I may have shorted you on time a little bit. Do you have another poem you'd like to share?
Sure.
Yeah. called the quick.
I'm going to end with that because I really wanted to end on that higher note. So we're gonna stay with that.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry and thank you. That was really, really. I love that. That stone of hard truth swallowed too quickly. What a beautiful line.
Thank you.
And I don't know. We need to go squirrel hunting because we got too darn many squirrels. But anyway, thank you very much again.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Well, and by the way, people in the audience, if you'd like to put comments, type them actually in the chat. You're more than welcome to do so. It's wonderful to see the reactions floating up, and the poets. That's great for the poets to see that too. But if you'd like to put a hard comment in there, that's great. We appreciate seeing that too. All right. So next up, we have Stephen Watson. Stephen, also known as Steve, spelled S-T-A. We found out the hard way. S-T-E-P-H-E. Steve is an unteacher who travels the world teaching Tai Chi. His work, which looks like movement, meditation, and massage, involves uncovering the self. He can be found at Someday Farm, his home studio in Clinton. So check the chat for Steve's full biography, and welcome, Steve.
Yay, hello. Thank you so much for having me. This is Luna Wolf. She's with me whenever I read. She helps prevent outbreaks of seriousness. And I'm so glad to be reading for the illustrious Edwina in attendance. So very, very exciting. So this is a few poems from my series that I call Notes from This Hermitage in This Hermit Age. And the first one, self-titled, Notes from This Hermitage in This Hermit Age. And in theory, this covers chickens for sure. There's just it's subtle. Alone, quietly contemplative, querying. I love it all of it all. I pour my jasmine not on cloud-topped mountaintop. I japata jaj nirantara. Bead by sutra-strung bead, not before a gilt-aglobe Buddha. I sit alone, not in monastery, not in cave. I sit in silence, not in pew, not in nave. I stretch my bones and soften this breath, raising and waking 1,000 ancestors within a rising, unroiled sea of cinnabar in me. Not in time, story-told past times, but here in this very now, today. I live alone among my kind, but with the wish that mankind live up to its surname, kind. Just one question remains at dry bottom of my empty tannin world's tea bowl. Is man kind? This next is called Mountains, Rivers. For teaching me of unknown paths, for hinting to me of fogs at feet, for reminding me of sunrise tea, for showing me both ink stain and light rain, for simply savoring the simple life, for illustrating the service of the eremite, for singing to Paulownia blossoms, for dancing with loneliness, for sculpting sorrow and joy, for nights in caves, for ragged cloths pulled tight against the biting, bitter frosts, for wondering at tiger tracks and losing food to monkey packs, for hunger days and thirst nights, for solace found in the brethren free, high mountain, echoless and grand, lonely, for smiling to passing clouds, for bowing to bent bamboo, for conversing with berries, for chorusing with birds, for sitting at the feet of pebbles, for asking deep of puddles, for taking advice of flocks, both goats and geese and gnats as well, for taking as their audience the empty valley, the midnight sun, the empty bowl, and the passing breeze. I wish to not ever visit each and every hermit. Not ever, forever, no, never. I'll assume the applause is uproarious and I pause to take it away. So this is called Zendicant. And this is me imagining that there are innumerable, infinite paths to enlightenment, let's say, or wherever we're headed. And I'm imagining what that might be like for the person who is at the end of those paths, looking back at all those paths. So this is called Zendikant. If you can read it, there's the title there, if that helps, because I made up a word. The hillock, the bell, the swept terraces, the swept mines, the whitewood hall, the reflecting pools, the reflecting mines, the weedless gardens, both in brain and curtilage, the temple grounds, the temple gives, flight, the temple sounds, bird, wind, hush, shuffle, the temple sounds, right. Some say all, I say many paths lead to these courtyards. Follow, flower flows, wending ways, find one's way, the middle path, the way, many, many ways to find one way, to find one's way, to finally find, to unwend one's way to home mind, to no mind, silences echoing off ohms, poverties, bowls cradling alms, quietudes and multitudes of balding bones, the chatterless babble of an unseen brook, Tory, lotus, grave marking Gorinto, stupa, murti, each here, each forsook, cherry, plum and chrysanthemum, each a zafu seed, each a mustard seed, verdant lives once fallen as autumn leaves, needs. And for the nun, and for the monk, each path of pilgrim's footfall an invitation, a lure for the mind at least, if not the heart, to depart. Thank you. This one is called Ancient Moon. I wonder how close the moon was to the ancient ones in their ancient ways in ancient times. I wonder how close the moon felt to the ancient ones in their ancient ways in ancient times. In the age I came of age, the new age, to use an aged term, science pre-stole me from the thought, the dream, the feelings that the moon was as close as the ancients must have felt, must have known, must have spoken, sang of. For me, she was always impossibly far. I wonder if their stories of hunters and jealous brothers, if their tales of petulances and dalliances were for them always close enough, not simply to be overheard, but overseen. Stories close enough to lend not only an ear to, but a hand. I wonder if the moon was closer then for the ancient ones in their ancient days and their ancient ways to reach out, to maybe, just maybe, reach out and help their gods. This is, most of my writings are untitled. I figure that's one less word or two that the reader has to read, so they'll be happy. So this is untitled. It's a brief one, which is another gift to you. This life is a social one. A teacher, thus students. No caves, no cottages. Awake to dreams, dreams of awake. Poetry elusive. Time for it all the more so. The body, a member of a civic body. The heart, a hermit, as deep within as a lamplit cave might beckon. So continuing, I've switched back to that Hermitage series. And this is called Perhaps Not the Mountain. Most of my writings are in this kind of Taoist writing landscape or Zen writing landscape. But I think I've chosen some that don't have a whole bunch of specific, terms of art. This is Perhaps Not the Mountain, and it starts with that line. Perhaps not the mountain, perhaps even not the lone hermit atop said mountain, sitting as still as tea leaves left in their jar. Perhaps not the mountain, so unneedful of needs, of deeds, now moving as imperceptibly, as slowly, as wakefully as the still tea leaves, damp on the saucer, unfolding like mornings in morning's new light. Perhaps not the mountain, so unmindful of mind, of mankind, perhaps not the birds resting in nooks or rookeries by snow lines and green lines, perhaps not the lizard or sheep, one sharp-edged like the low edges of shift rock, the other white-topped like lost edge of the high top. Perhaps not the leopard, rare as the swear from the hermit, still stretching out her morning. Perhaps none know the mountain is a slow wave of earth, a slow wave come crashing so slowly into shallower earth, a great primeval upheaval. And this is called Poet T. 2 words, poet, and the first 3 letters of teaching. The night air, waters, somewhere, burble. A deer in the dark, hoof crunches. Yesterday's now 12-degree snow. A mouse moves in sudden urgency, unseen, all, unnoticed, none. The moon is lost in wane, in fog, and the coldest hour. I balance a bundle of barky splits in the fold of my arm. Indentations, scratches, the stove awaits, the kettle too. Nearly midnight, poetry soon. Beneath the maple, silhouetted only by my memory of the corner of sky shared in differing times by first the sun and then the moon, or first the moon and then the sun. Taiwanese whole leaf, tightly bound, soon to unfurl in the new heat. Some rinds to plop in too. The necessaries will wait tonight. The tea, the fire, the words won't wait tonight. They are the actual necessary. I come to see them in dark, to drink of their light. They call to me in dark, to offer me their light. I feel like that's about time.
Oh, that was wonderful. I have to say, finally, a simile that I could admire.
Oh.
Yeah, rare as the swear from the hermit.
Yes.
I love your playfulness and your punniness and just beautiful language.
Yeah.
So
thank you so very much.
Thank you.
So glad to be a part of it. Looking forward to everybody else.
Our pleasure to have you, Steve. All right. Next up, we have our third poet of the evening, Mary Keating. Mary, author of the collection Recalibrating Gravity, is a poet, lawyer, and disability rights advocate who became a paraplegic at age 15. Mary is a graduate of Yale Law School and the poetry editor for ScribesMICRO. She's also a 3-time Pushcart nominee and has her own law firm in Darien. And by the way, Mary is an advanced scuba diver, which is amazing. So welcome, Mary. I'm going to post your full bio in the chat, and it's great to have you here.
Oh, thanks, Barb. It's so great to be here with all these poets and starting the year out with poetry. And I thought I'd like to start with a haiku because it reminds me of what Zoom is like. I reach for you, the space between stars. I reach for you, the space between stars. So I'd like to read from my book, my memoir in verse, Recalibrating Gravity. And the first poem is from my childhood, and it's called A 6-Year-Old Girl at Sunday Mass. I'm stuffed into a pew at the Church of the Resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ with my 2 older sisters, my baby brother, my dad, and my mother. Our yellow lab, Heather, stuck home alone. She isn't allowed, which makes me wonder if she'll be allowed in heaven when Jesus comes again. My sisters and I sport matching shifts with scenes from Barbados stitched on in bright threads. Mom and Dad got them there last year on their annual vacation. Mine's really short now, and my thighs are sticking to the wood. We rushed to get to 10 o'clock Mass. I barely had time to get dressed before Dad yelled, "Everybody in the car in 2.5 minutes." I forgot to put on my underwear. I hope no one notices. Just keep staring ahead at my 2 older sisters with their shiny blonde hair, not me with dull brown. I look around and wait for the priest to tell us what to do. Kneel, stand, kneel, sit down. If we get it right, we must go to heaven. Mom turns and smiles. She's 2 sisters away. Her beehive hairdos caved in on the side she sleeps, despite her silky pillowcase. I keep waiting for a bee to buzz out of her hair at any moment, some miracle to stop the endless drone. The priest raises his hands for all of us to stand, and my skin smarts as the wood pulls me back, as if a devil's hiding inside the oak. I let out a small yelp, which makes me wonder about Heather home alone, waiting for us, or the milkman. But it's Sunday and the milkman isn't coming today. When we stand, my shift rises up. My sister Ann pulls it down, whispering, "Did you forget something?" I turn red. She starts to laugh, which isn't allowed in church. Soon all of us, even Dad, are trying not to, squeezing our eyelids, scrunching our faces, biting our lips, crying, except, of course, Mom, mad as a queen bee. We sit and kneel and stand in endless repetition. And when Mom's eyes aren't stinging me, the wood devil is. And I'm secretly praying Heather won't be allowed in heaven, because Mom's going to kill me and I'm going somewhere else. So my second poem is actually for a friend of mine who just lost her dog, and it's not a funny poem. It's called Holding On. A life played out in clips. "You can come and pick her up now," the receptionist says over the phone. We take the short drive to the vet's, shortened further by my state of mind. Lately, I can't remember how I get from point A to point B. Ever since Daddy and I left you at the veterinarian hospital, our lives have been playing out in clips, clip to clip, with none of the mundane scenes in between. I long for all the mundane scenes in between, to hold them frame by frame, to memorialize every moment from point A to point B. From the moment I first clipped on your leash, every pull, every strain, every stretch, every smell, every stink, every sniff, until I let you go. In the waiting room, the receptionist passes me your leash in a bag. "Here she is," she says in a hushed voice. I grip your leash for fear you'll slip away. Weigh the bag in my hands while Daddy settles the bill. Is that everything? There has to be more. The weight of you was so much more. As Daddy hugs me, his tears flow into mine. You can let go of her leash now," he whispers. But I can't, because it connects all our clips from point A to point B. and tethers us together for a moment longer than one lifetime could ever hold. So when I was 15, no, I was 15. I was in a car accident, and what struck me was how all of a sudden I was perceived to be so different because I used a wheelchair. And so this poem is called Salty, and it's trying to explore that. I'm a teenager when an oak cracks my independence. Should have never gotten into that Mustang driven by a boy trying too hard to be cool, not knowing how hard his crush could crush my beautiful long legs that wrapped around my boyfriend. Never meant to carry me to another hot rod to wrap around a tree. After the accident, I'm not smoking hot anymore, but strangers all gawk at me. A wheelchair now, my latest accessory, I can't live without. Meanwhile, I'm still hot for sex, frustrated my wheelchair cools every cock. Alone at a high school party, I just want to rock. A wannabe man smoking a fat cheroot plops down next to me. Instead of asking if I want to roll, he wraps his lips around Johnny Walker, calls me fish legs. I roll into a mermaid, inhaling oceans that take a lifetime to exhale. Thank you. So this is, I am fortunate enough to have married my soulmate, and this is a brief history of our life. It's called A Brief History of Forever. 1. We meet in 4th grade at Osborne. You almost catch me in Boys Chase Girls and Girls Chase Boys. 2. I sit behind you in homeroom at Rye High because I'm a K and you're an H. In 9th grade, you move out of town, miss me being in an infamous car accident the next year. At Manhattanville, I discover you're in my freshman class working behind the snack bar. You don't seem to mind me in a wheelchair. You whisk me away to an evening party in Massachusetts while you're manic. You could be my Prince Charming until I never want to see your movie star face again. 9 years later, fresh out of law school, I tell God I'm ready to get a husband. I bump into you browsing records at Caldor's. You take me to the city, melt me by the kiss at the Met. You keep punctuating, we're not boyfriend-girlfriend. Our bodies punctuate differently until you disappear with my fairy tale dreams. I get it. You think you can't handle a permanent disability. If I weren't permanently paralyzed, I'd walk away from it too. Let's not mention your diagnoses. In Albuquerque, Tom Petty sings to you, it's wake-up time. My phone rings in White Plains, New York. You move across the U.S., overflowing my apartment, intertwining our lives. 5 years engaged, we elope and marry at Sweetheart Rock. While I'm getting beautified, you commit your vows to memory. Surprise me, as you do for a lifetime, with just how much you love me. This poem is called Fluid, and Barb mentioned I'm a scuba diver, and this is what it's like for me to scuba dive. Somersaulting into liquid space, a paraplegic plunging into the sea, I venture forth intrepidly. Galaxies whirl by with every breath as I dive deeper into the depth. Angelfish curiously stare in my mask, beckon me join in their play, as butterfly fish glimmer yellows away. Suspended in this watery mix where diffused sunlight falls, I float down coral walls. Out in the luscious blue glides a lone eagle ray, capturing my freedom this day. Gravity's prison unlocked for a spell. I forget my limits on shore, falling to rise, Diving, I soar. This poem is Hypernal Solstice. We're just talking about how the days were getting longer. And this is for people who have seasonal depression and those who live with them. Shadows invade his lightness of being when the sun's too lazy to climb very far above the horizon. Amid the holidays' twinkle and sparkle, the night wraps him into a cyclical cocoon where he will barely eat, barely speak, barely answer his steadfast wife, whose loneliness will flow into rivers of sorrow, dammed by hope. But even hope can't hold a constant deluge. When he reemerges with the energized sun, he will have missed her little bits of heaven, the moments of happiness she crafted from emptiness. She won't mention how her poetry saved them, each poem a surrogate son. And then I'd like to end with this one poem. I think it's important that people make places accessible for disabled people. And I've really found a lot of open mics aren't, and I think we need to change that. It's called Disabled by Design. Stairs block the door to a local open mic, cage my poetry night after night. No flying wheelchair to get inside. I'm cut off, forgotten, invisible, outside. The organizer loves her inaccessible venue. The law, my dreams, she hasn't a clue. Her suggestion, carry me in like Cleopatra. Tempting until someone trips. A sure disaster. Trade a year for a night, a bone for a poem. What happened to moving around on my own like a breeze? For me and a billion more disabled people we can no longer ignore, who navigate landmines set to explode, daily compromised by an ableist code. No tools for hearing loss or diminished sight. No captions, no ramps, no soft entry light. It's time we make everything accessible and stop saying certain lives are expendable. Imagine the brilliance we've lost by design, the gifts unopened by not opening our minds. Disability sparks tools used by us all. Text messaging, voice command, the flexible straw. Daily conveniences taken for granted. Oh, my parking permit. You can't have it. No one should be stung by discrimination, the pain of systematic dehumanization. I still smart from what that organizer said to me and her club. Hey, they miss out on my poetry. Make sure your events say welcome, come join us. Access isn't just the law, it's joy, it's justice. Change the design. Set a billion people free. Cherish each of us in our full humanity. When I engage with minimal fuss, I'm not disabled. I'm boundless. Thank you.
Amazing. Wonderful, Mary. Oh,
Thank you.
as someone wrote in the chat, just such bravery and courage. So thank you and beauty in your words too, and some funny stories too. won't soon forget about no underwear in church, but thank you for being an advocate for the people. As you say, disability sparks tools used by us all. So we should be grateful and aware. So thank you again.
Thanks, Bar.
Oh, boy. Okay, next we have David Epstein. David does things with lift, sailing, and working with jets at the airport. He writes in the middle of the night. Most recently, he's had poems in New Square and online at Poets and Writers under Drift and Dribble Miscellany. So I'm looking forward to hearing you. Welcome, please, David Epstein.
Hi, everyone. Barb, thank you for inviting me. and it is an honor to be among such a talented group. And it's just not fair to have to follow Mary, but I will do my best. These first two are memoir in free verse. First one's called Cradle of Civilization. I grew up in a household of women. The sound of the sewing machine was like breath. The whirring motor, the foot let down, the scissors snip. I grew up with the vacuum on Saturdays, a day so precious it went by twice as fast. I grew up listening to conflict and wondering what love is when the cars were out. And the pine trees my mother planted, whose boughs under snow were growing as if they knew what love is. I can't say the model of being a man came from my family. I grew up with the mixer humming, the pressure kettle rattling, and Saturdays flashing past in a haze of Septembers, the school year stretching ahead like a thread pulled from a seam. This is called S, and obviously from the front of the Superman costume. When I told my mother I needed a cape, a red cape, so I could be Superman, what I meant was a thing so red it would transform me, give me the power to fly. I didn't think about the boots, and when I crossed my arms, they were not out in the room on large pectoral muscles, and my blonde curls were nothing like George Reeves's dark hair. Mom dyed a sheet in the clothes washer. I waited all day, but it was a faded red, closer to pink. Nor could I fly, although I stood on the rock on the backyard ledge, my arms crossed on my chest. 60 years later now, and I have flown many times, mostly on jets and in dreams and leaps and the miles run, a few hard landings and some frank drunks, as well as when love would shove me from a cliff and my body rose through the air, less interested in truth, justice, and the American way than in the ascension granted to someone in love who feels the wind blowing on their back and shoulders and might hold their arms crossed in front, if only to enfold the lover therein. And lately, too, I work at the airport, loading jets and unloading them, pushing them around with tractors, talking to pilots through a headset. So all this makes me more like Newsboy Jimmy or Lois Lane than Superman. Ancillary, supporting cast. But if you admit that the cape is not quite red, and that there is turbulence up there, and that flying is mostly an industry with a carbon footprint like a Sasquatch, perhaps it's okay not to fly, or to fly less than Superman, and to change the world through meditation by evolving our collective human consciousness. That can be frustrating, like when your cape is pink. Is that maybe why George Reeves shot himself during a house party? Well, downstairs the guests looked up and thought, what was that? A bird? A plane? Thank you. Tin Man is a chapbook of poems about the figure from the film The Wizard of Oz, and I find him a good everyman because he's preoccupied with his heart. So several of these were just picked up by Quarter Press and will be coming out online there in the next few months. This one is called Emerald City Hangover. Saturday night after the witch was dead, the Tin Man went out for drinks, ended up crying into his beer. Eyelids rusted open, couldn't sleep, and realized that when Dorothy went off back to Kansas, he was too toxic from being locked in for so long. He should have told her, that home is where the heart is. But even he gets it about duckling love, imprinting on the first one you see. I mean, really see. Even had she stayed in Oz, the city at her feet, she would have wondered about the farm and whether she couldn't have been happy there, having seen Paris. Tin Man finally gets up, oils his eyes, blinks at the light. It's work having a heart, even a broken one. Is that another, thank you, another Tin Man. I just doing 3 or 4 of these. Tin Man entertains questions. It seems to be a key to memory. Before, it didn't beat, it didn't keep anything. Not time, not the image of a butterfly. And now that having had is a thing and knowing loss and the ache of days, well, I wonder. There isn't going back. I'm no sociopath, and if I was before, frozen in mid-stroke in the woods, I wouldn't know. I may get a pet. That Kansas dog was kind of sweet, a smaller munchkin with less of a vocabulary. But do I want that? And what if the heart has a little extra space? And what if, once I have a pet, I met someone I haven't yet and had no room because of it? What is the capacity of a heart? Does it wear out, wear thin, grow tired or sick? I'm so unschooled in matters of. How do I oil it? Can I oil it too much? Where is the school for the newly hearted? Why is it that for all the people with them, no one seems to know a thing about it? A little more mundane, Tin Man goes to the gym. Wakes up thinking he has got to get over it already. Hearts break, that's what they do. Of course, he starts out on the elliptical, but the clanking is drawing dirty looks, and so he wipes the oil from the grips and tries the free weights, and the reps themselves are a liberation, and he sweats, cheeks glistening with grease. A trainer notices him swinging the medicine ball, asks if he ever did competitive sawyering, says he has such a clean arc, and he falls for her in a standard gym crush. Later in the showers, he's got to think Wicked Witch to keep from sprouting a Woody. He walks out, sees the trainer. She's getting in a car with children in the back. And once again, he sees no way his life might fit into anyone else's. At home, online, he goes and looks at headshots of metallurgy professors. Ends up 2 a.m. in blacksmith porn, a pounding in his temples, the anvil ringing with hammer blows. Tin Man at the bowling alley. Falls for the concierge. As much as for her motions as by emotion, gets his shoes and brings them to his face. That aerosol, it's like an oil for the nose. The scent loosens his heart. He watches her a little openly, and when she asks, says he's fascinated. How she angles the can, racks each pair, straightens laces, tongues. Nothing to it, she says, accent half Munchkin, half Emerald City drawl. A month later, it's over. She told him she's going back home, that the city jangles her nerves. He's known that, of course, catching her waking when he's up in the night, tiptoeing to the John, trying not to clank. Seems like his default heart state is blasted, and he sometimes rubs it with ice. This numbs the pump, and for pieces of whiles he's less of a grump. Something always reminds him, though, a bus door shutting, for instance, of the machinery of the automatic pin setter and the background noise of the alley, the shattering of the pins, the rolling balls, thunder gone smooth. And when he remembers her racking shoes, the rumbling thumping in his chest that crescendos the day he sees her on the street, laughing with a man as they step from the curb. It's like that moment of a strike, the noise, the splash of pins in space, the equilibrium of all 10 going down at once. For a time he can barely stand, feels frozen in place. What a break, he thinks, reaching for his sternum, like a 7-10 split. The possible drying up, a puddle in the sun, the rejection fresh, flooding him, how a spray disperses into air. Two more. I write a lot of love poems, and these two are what I call 15ers, which is a modified Petrarchan sonnet that has an extra line. The octave is standard, and the 7 line, the septet, usually end rhymes C, D, C, D, E, D, E. So this is called Café au Bad. In my permanent collection of you are several coffee shop views of your eyes above a steam, lips pursed and blowing sidewise across the beam. In the standard blue of morning skies, a pale thin cloud or two, in your pre-caffeinated mode, high above the table, waiting for your ties to wakefulness to reassert, for who you are to come to earth. The universe relents. It stops for you like any star, a pulse of bright coronal flare dispersing as if to say harumph in light. You are a pewter blue, your aura indigo. We're talking, yes, and it is not bizarre. You're goddessing again, your status quo. And I'll close with this one, a 15er, another love poem called Blessing of a Morning Light. Wander with me on the plains of consciousness where the saffron wells and the chafe of rope goes over polished oak, browns and yellows, all the warmest tones. We are tall. We bless each other endlessly, break from kisses into marvelry, at the light aflow across the windowsill, at what we know of how to be, aflame with feelings, trysting with epiphany. Yes, how to be, as world is burning down its blessings, scorn by scorn. By contrast, real stewardry allows that heart must permeate and form all things, that trees are held as one holds hearts, that coriander, scent of sight, is born by light, that we are love, the constant art. Thank you all.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I have to say, the Tin Man poems, I hope you get a chance to check the chat. The Tin Man poems were a huge hit. So thank you for those. Are you doing a chapbook of those, David? Oh, you're on mute. Oh, you're on mute. Oh.
Yes, I sent the Tin Man poems out to several places. One was shortlisted, and they took some of the poems, as I said, quarter press, and I'm waiting to hear from the others.
Oh, that's great. Wonderful. And the first one, too, was just about when you were growing up was phenomenal as well.
Thank you, and thank you all.
Oh, well, thank you. Okay, well, our last poet for this evening, this went way too fast. They always do, but this one especially. Our last poet is Thomasina Levy, a poet and award-winning musician who served as the Connecticut State Troubadour in 2005 and 2006. She uses poetry, music, and art to help students of all ages discover their own creative spirits. Thomasina's poems have been included in a variety of publications and are featured in Newtown's C.C. Booth Library's Poetry Walk. I still haven't gotten there. I got to get up there. She's part of a dulcimer consort that will be performing at Carnegie Hall on Sunday, January 18th. Coming up fast, Thomasina. That's wonderful.
Hi, I'm the poems tonight have been extraordinary. I'm really amazed that I'm even part of this group because they're astounding.
Oh, hey, let me just correct myself if needed. Is your last name pronounced Levy? I should have asked beforehand, or Levy.
Levy.
I apologize.
That's
sorry.
Don't worry about it. It's not my maiden name is Minio, so don't worry about it. I'll start with a poem called Glimmers. Small glimmers come unheralded these days, despite triggers of climatic collapse, political disquietude, splintered familial bonds, disastrous northern smoke. Hummingbird darts above the lawn like an errant helicopter. Mother Bear and her 4 sprightly cubs arrive for a quick chat. As I ramble through the path and trees, I sniff with bliss at the ambrosial pine scent. I burrow in my quilt on deliciously cool nights. Heirloom tomato and mayo sandwiches dribble down my chin, announcing summer's closing. I kneel with gratitude to my fleeting breaths on this precious earth. I'm part of, I can't believe it, but I'm part of this writers group that includes with Edwina Trentham, who I absolutely love. Hello, Edwina. And Greg Coleman, Steve Parlato, Carol. It's just, so they're so encouraging to me. The next poem I'm going to read is called I Saw One of the Righteous 36. So just to back up a little bit, according to ancient Jewish mythology, there are 36 righteous people residing on the earth at all times, called Lamed Vavnik. They are unknown to each other and as well as to themselves. Their existence is essential for the survival of the human race. For as long as they survive, their virtues keep the world from being destroyed. And this poem was accepted with the Word Peace Digital publication in 2022. I saw one of the righteous 36 yesterday, with burnished skin as lustrous as a fresh horse chestnut. He looked up at me from his wheelchair on East 30th Street as I trudged beside the homeless shelter on a forsaken December sidewalk crowded with huddling men, cigarette smoke, metal carts filled with the life's holdings. When I glanced at him, he looked straight into me with a hello and a beatific smile so luminous, it lit up the gray underpass. Later that day, I twice passed the same spot, searching for him, wanting to kneel in front of him, my head bowed in supplication with the plea for mercy and forgiveness. Nocturne. This is a poem about an October night at Cape Cod. Nocturne. Like clockwork, 3:47 a.m., sleepless, restless, a beckoning outdoors, 45 degrees Fahrenheit, flannel night, bare feet, rush outside, hair swirling, exhilarating bayside gusts, rattle the swaying locust trees. Look up. Wondrous shooting stars street across a heavenly inky vault. Gaze in awe at the Pleiades, the divine seven sisters, shimmering in their endless waltz and sway with bold Orion, the mighty hunter in a luminous October night. Marvel at the Milky Way's silver river, splashing between Venus, sparkling in the east, as fiery Mars glistens and dazzles in the west. This eternal pilgrimage through the cosmos, a reminder of our own infinitesimal spark in a vast and enduring universe. So on April 8th, 2024, my friend Rob Raritan and I left my house here in Litchfield at 4 a.m. and we drove north, almost to Canada, to northern Vermont to watch the eclipse. 4 hours north, and then on the way home it took us 12 hours to get home. It was a very long day, but it was so worth it. The great cosmic coincidence. You have to be patient to be dazzled by the shadowing of our star. The far-flung pilgrims assembled to witness the moon lazily swallow the sun. As dusky twilight unfurled, a quietness embraced the assembly. When the totality of darkness emerged, the crowd erupted in cheers, howling in joyous wonderment. Gloaming miracles materialized. Winking nighttide stars, a coronal hail, ruby-dotted flares, and glowing golden sunset encircling the horizon. Then, as fleeting as a wisp of smoke, the umbra passed and nighttime was uncloaked. This next poem is a pantoum. It was so much fun to write. I have to do more pantoums. There's a repetition of the second and fourth lines in the stanza that become the first and third lines of the next stanza, and then the last stanza as the second and fourth lines of the last stanza are the first and third lines of the first stanza. It was like a little puzzle. So much fun to write. A Bantam River. The river whispers its song on the wind this morning. Come find the cormorant hiding in the reeds. It's getting more difficult with each turning of the calendar year, yet I straddle the back end of the kayak and haul myself into the cockpit. Silently drifting, I spy the cormorant hiding in the reeds. Up ahead, a beaver's obstacle grows larger each year, so I straddle the cockpit and haul myself over the dam, gliding past the buttonbush nodding its greeting along the river's edge. Uneasiness returns. How many obstacles will we have to face this year? A dragonfly lands in the hull with its message, be here, be present. Marvel at the buttonbush nodding along the river's edge. Deeply inhale the water lily's delicate scent wafting on the breeze. A dragonfly lands on the hull with its message, be here, be present. It's getting more difficult these 4 calendar years. I inhale, I exhale, and remember the scented breeze. The river whispered its song on the wind this morning. In the Anglican tradition, there's something called evensong, and it's a mass that they do in the evening, evensong. And the first line of it is, sing unto the Lord a new song, for he has done marvelous things. So I took it and changed it, and it's into sing unto the earth a new song, for she has done marvelous things. Evensong. Sing unto the earth a new song, for she has done marvelous things. Glory be to sparrow for her hymn of laudation to the eventide. Glory be to surging and surrendering like the ruffling and swirling and furling waves. Glory be to gossamer clouds buoyantly scudding above our strife and struggle. Glory be to the sanctifying wind scudding. Glory be to the sanctifying wind chanting a psalm of mystery. Glory be to sunset exuberant, slowly cloaking itself in sacred twilight. Sing praises to creation, sing praises to beauty, sing praises to wisdom. Glory be. So I'm going to end my little session here with you. And really, thank you so much, Barb. It's been a privilege to be part of this. These poems are just extraordinary tonight. I mean, I'm just in awe of every single of the writers. So, right? Everybody, right? Clap, everybody. It's been amazing. So anyways, I plagiarized myself and used the words from Evensong and wrote a song. And it's called Sing Unto the Earth a New Song. And so let me just, let me see here. I'm just going to put the, I just put the chorus in the chat in case you want to sing along with me, because the chorus gets repeated a lot. And it comes around a lot. So if you want to sing, join me. But make sure you're muted. And so this is my dulcimer. I'm a mountain dulcimer player and a songwriter. And so here I am. Here we go. Here's the chorus. Sing unto the earth a new song, glorious and in excelsis, for she has done such marvelous things. Glory in the highest. Glory be to the sparrow's song, a joyous hymn to the eventide, and glory be to the furling waves, surrendering to the surging tide. There's a chorus, sing unto the earth a new song, Gloria in excelsis, for she has done such marvelous things. Glory in the highest. Glory be to gossamer clouds, a graceful flowing liturgy, and glory be to the sacred wind, chanting a psalm of mystery. Sing unto the earth a new song, Gloria in excelsis, for she has done such marvelous things. Glory in the highest. Glory be to sunset joy, cloaking itself in sacred light, and glory be to the stars above, glinting like gems in a silvery night. Sing unto the earth a new song, Gloria in excelsis, for she has done such marvelous things. Glory in the highest. Sing praises to the heavens, sing praises to wisdom, sing praises to beauty, sing praises to creation. Oh, sing unto the earth a new song, Gloria in excelsis, for she has done such marvelous things. Glory in the highest. Glory in the highest. Thank you.
Woo! What a way to end. Wonderful. Thank you, Thomasina. Your poems were lovely, but that just brought us to our third year with glory. So thank you. Thank you, all of our poets. Thank you, all of our audience members. Please remember to email me if you'd like to be a contributing reader, contributing poet, just barbjenis@gmail.com. And join us February 4th at 7 o'clock for Padmaja Patani, Eric Hoffman, William Moorhead, Mick Powell, and David Thacker. So thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Ridgefield Library.
Barb. Thank you, poets. Lovely night.
It really was. Mm-hmm. See you again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Great poems.
Yeah.